Luke Gazdic, former Oiler, former NHLer, host of the Mitts Off podcast and Sportsnet analyst, joins us on the show. Luke, we're trying to laugh our way through the pain right now, but that was a tough one last night. So let me open with this, and maybe it's a difficult question to answer. Podcast listeners, it won't make a lot of sense to, but for those on YouTube, let's say there's a meter, and on one end it's Dallas came out and pushed real hard, and on the other end it's Edmonton blew it. Where do you come out on that meter?
Talking second period, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Dude, Kenny Reed asked me on the post game last night. So I like sprint down after we go off air and I jump in the seat and he asked me the same question. He goes, how much is it Edmonton collapse versus Dallas being good? And don't give me that little bit of both answer. I said last night it was more Dallas. And, you know, I had to go back over and watch a ton of tape from yesterday, and I still give it to Dallas, man. Like I do want to give you it's a bit of both, but holy, did they come out flying. Like whether it was Jamie Benn going forward off the draw in the opening face-off and self-dumping and going straight down and going 1-on-2, play in the body. There was a segment from 18-22 to 16-42 where the shots were 7-0. I know it was 13 eventually, but they just hemmed them in, man. Like they were first on every single puck, loose puck battle, every freaking 50-50 puck was theirs. And so, yeah, maybe Edmonton collapsed a little bit. They got complacent. They started to sag, but man, like Dallas, the Stars were just flying.
Yeah, and that is a big part of this as well. What did you make of Stuart Skinner last night? Because he's weirdly kind of divided our chat today. We're getting a lot of, there is no way that fourth goal can go in. That cost them the game. I'm more on the side of he actually made a lot of really big saves. We talked about the Marchment breakaway that he stopped. He made a nice glove save when that game was still tied as well. I thought Skinner was pretty low down the list of players who were problems last night. Where did you come out on the goaltending?
Yeah, good question, man. I know I'm going to my broadcast a lot, but whenever I have goaltending questions, I go to Kelly Rudy, and I usually kind of pick his brain. And he didn't have any problem with the first 3 goals because I didn't either. All 3 of them. Yeah, you want saves, but I don't know. I thought he played well enough for them to win, but at the end of the day, man, it comes down to timely saves. And like that puck can't go in on Robo like that. It can't. Like that's the game right there. You not only need to make big saves, but they have to be at timely points in the game. And that was just the ultimate backbreaker. And from then on in, I thought he was okay. I thought he was, more on the good side, but all in all, man, people will just continually look to that goal and for good reason, man.
Yeah. I got one more for you, and then I'll let you get to what you want to ask, Liam. But what do you do with the blue line? Because Nurse and Vinny weren't good in the early parts of that second period. I know they weren't great even in the first period. Going to Nurse and Ceci, I don't think that's an answer. We got Sarah Volley tweeting out now before or during our show that it sounds like Philip Broberg's a possibility for game 4. Do you play Broberg? Can you trust Broberg right now more than you trust a Vinny or a CC? What's the best pairings? I'm so lost with this blue line, man.
So am I. It's been frustrating, to be honest. I actually thought they did a pretty good job up until last night. And even throughout the first period, like I had clipped a couple good defensive clips from Ekholm, one from Nurse early, and then it just seemed to fall apart. I don't love Darnell and Cease together. If you're asking me with the 6 they have, I would probably prefer to have Nursey and Desharnais together. I'm not throwing in Broberg right now. I game 4 against Dallas, 3rd round of the playoffs. I'm not putting him in. I don't know if that's the popular answer. I honestly hadn't even heard that. So what you're hearing from me is blunt, honest opinion and reaction. And I don't think that's the way to go. These are your 6. You are winning and losing and living and dying with these 6 defensemen. This is how you constructed your roster. Okay. So we are going to win with these players or you're not. I don't think a Troy Stetcher comes in. I don't think they look to do that. You figure out the pairs, you watch a ton of video, you work with these guys, you coach them, because this is it for you right here. Those 6 guys you have up on the board, those 3 pairs have to get the job done. I think they can. They've shown they can. It's just temporary lapses in judgment and little small mistakes that the Stars capitalize on. It's turnovers, it's pinching when you shouldn't pinch. Stay inside your comfort zone, and this is what we're working with here. So to me, it's falling on those 6. This is how they've built that blue line, and you got to make it work.
I just quickly want to jump in because, again, we've had news come in during the show today, guys. I know you're busy. Jason Gregor tweeted out during our show, apparently Troy Stetcher's having ankle surgery and he's done. He hasn't played.
I was not aware of that. Yeah.
Well, our chat still, people are still in our chat being like, why aren't you talking about Stetcher? This guy hasn't played in a month. How does he need ankle surgery? To me, like, and this might be wildly unfair, and this might just be an outsider dude who shouldn't be taking shots, but like, this feels like a guy who's sitting there going, I just want to be ready for next year. I'm good. I know I need my ankle done. I'll get her done now. Like, I don't know. That's confusing to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting scenario because he might have brought something over when he was traded from Arizona. He could have already been nursing something, which I don't know if this is insider info, but I think he was. I don't know if that's public or whatever, but he might have also been told, like, hey, you have no chance of playing. Like, if he is nursing an injury that was bad enough that he stopped skating, this might be a team forced decision. I don't know of any player, or if the situation would be the player being like, hey guys, if I'm not going to play, let me get this done. Every single player that I can think of up the top of my head and that I, would have crossed paths with, they would hold off that surgery with the likelihood that they get 1 game in these playoffs. They are not electing to go do a surgery if there is even a small chance of them getting in a Stanley Cup playoff game. So that could have been team mandated for sure. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if they're like, hey, if someone gets hurt, it's Phil going in, but they don't have a whole roster of defensemen. Maybe he's down in the depth chart. I have no idea, but that sounds like it's coming from management, to be honest.
So the Oilers, Chris Knoblauch specifically made the decision of not playing Ryan McLeod last game, but now it's this talk about him coming back in. So my 2-part question: 1, was it warranted not to play him yesterday? And 2, if you were to bring him back in, where would you put him now? Because Henrique came in and scored a goal. That was pretty crucial.
Yeah, if Henrique's healthy, you're not taking out Henrique. Sorry.
So I didn't love the McLeod one, but I think it was, I don't want to say a long time coming. It was just a buildup of smaller mistakes that I think you've seen just kind of build up for him over time. I want to say it's the second goal. Now I don't even remember, but second goal in Dallas, game 2, Ryan doesn't win the 50-50 puck on the wall, and then McLeod just doesn't get in the lane and he doesn't get a stick on it. And if you look at it on replay and you slow it down, it just doesn't look great. Like, you watch Dallas come out to the lanes to block shots. Pavelski's kicking his leg out to try to get sticks and feet on it. And I really didn't like that. I think something like that would be where Knoblauch is like, okay, I've had enough. I was a young player once too. I had no idea how to block shots when I was younger. It's a skill, but he wouldn't have been my first guy coming out, put it that way. If he comes back in, you guys know I love him on the wing more than I do at center ice. So why not just slide him in on the left side, keep Rico in the middle, maybe even keep or throw Fogs over there and just slide Brownie down with Janmark and Carrick. Like, that makes sense to me. I thought I was watching Rico a lot last night because I wanted to see how he looked, whatever injury he's going through or went through, and he was skating well. So I think he can play center ice. He can take those minutes, throw Clowder on his wing, maybe move Fogle over to his right and just shift everybody down one.
That's what we kind of thought would be a good idea when Henrique was coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do anything else to the forward group? Do you think the top 6 is defined the way it is?
And that's what I'm thinking now too, I'd love to see pairs get in a game. I would love to see Sammy Gagner get in a game, but to be honest, Connor Brown is playing some of, if not the best hockey I've seen him play as an Oiler. the last two games, game 2 in Dallas and game 3 last night, was noticeably good. He still makes the odd mistake where it's a hope pass. There was one turnover at the blue line that went straight back to transition for Dallas on an odd man rush. And you're like, damn it, Brownie, like just make the play. But the legs are going, and that's all you can ask. That's half to 3/4 of the battle with a player like that, is to have some jump in your legs and to have some pep in your step. And it looks like he is. So I don't know outside of that. The second line with Leon and Kaner and Dylan hasn't really worked, I want to say. I don't love it. I wouldn't touch line 1. It's that middle of the lineup is where I think Knobs has some work to do. L1 and L4 to me, outside of Derek Ryan, maybe slide Brownie down, but the middle of that lineup is something that Knobs has to work on. And I said this last night on the broadcast, but I've kind of learned to trust his intuition. He seems to have a very good sense and what we call pulse of the team, who's going, who's not, who plays well with who he's seen have chemistry before in the past, who he thinks might have chemistry in the future. I've kind of looked at some of his lineup decisions and been like, don't love it. And then it ends up working out. So for the most part, I've really liked that side of KK and some of the choices he's made. So kind of interested to see what he does, but it's the middle of the lineup for me that might need a couple tweaks.
All right, I got one more, and it comes in from the chat, so we'll make it our Great Clips question for the day. With more than 4,400 hair salons throughout the United States and Canada, Great Clips is the world's largest hair salon brand and official hair salon of the NHL. Salons are locally owned and operated, and your time is valuable, which is why you can use the Great Clips check-in app. See the wait time, check in on your phone, get a haircut when you want. GreatClips.com, Great Clips. It's going to be great. Luke, this one comes in from our boy JT, who wants to know, how can the Oilers be so good on the PK but play so poorly 5-on-5 when they have the extra player? Is there anything you notice in the way their defensemen attack or their forwards attack that they do lose when it gets to 5-on-5? I mean, another simple answer to this is you can't ice the puck at 5-on-5. But anyways, what do you make of this question from JT?
Well, JT, I can see it now in my head. I remember so many coaches yelling at, not me because I wasn't part of the power plays, but yelling at our power play units. Why can't you work as hard as we do shorthanded as we do with the man up? Like, to me, it's just a mindset. Because as soon as you get on power play, you see guys start to get a little complacent because you have that time and space, and it becomes it just becomes a little stagnant and a little passive, where to me, it's all up here. Like, they're getting their looks. The one power play where Davo had a really good chance.
Yeah.
It's not shot first mentality anymore. Bouchard walked right down Broadway and could have fired a Bouch bomb and passes to Draisaitl in his spot. And it's just like, you'd love to see them shoot first a little more, but PP is all the mentality, man. And it's outworking, and you should never, ever, be outworked with a man up. I simply think it's just, it's a mentality, guys, and they don't really have it right now.
Power play struggling, PK red hot. The one thing, and this is where I'll end with you, Luke, like, I came into this series against Vancouver. I said it with you. I said it 100 times on the show. I said, if the Oilers are at their A game, even B+ against Vancouver, but A game, they're winning that series. And what we saw in game 6 and 7 was pretty damn close to their A game. Coming into this series against Dallas, I was a little bit more like, even if the Oilers are at their best, they might not win this series. After watching how they played in game 1, watching how good they were in the first period, I'm back on if the Oilers bring their A game, they're winning this series. Like, again, it feels like, not that Dallas is a great opponent. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but if Edmonton's at their best, I think they're the better team here. Has your opinion on this matchup changed at all through 3 games?
No, I agree with you, man. They're not starting to, but they're playing a bit of a different brand, whether it's close hockey games. I think there's been a ton of hype coming in on Dallas and their transition and their goal scoring ability. But what it comes down to is just some solid goaltending. Your top of the lineup's got to be good. Roll through all 4. They are the better team in this. And you know me, I'm always glass half full here. This isn't 3-1. We're not going back to Dallas for game 5 yet. They can go win a hockey game tomorrow night, and it's a series. At the end of the day, man, like people said, I think they lost the game in the second period yesterday. It was 3-3 going into the third. They could have found a way to win that, but I still think at the end of the day, they are the better hockey team. And as long as Mr. Stu can make some big timely saves, and they can get a little bit of scoring from everywhere in the lineup, I think they're going to be just fine. But they have to be good. There's no off nights. There's no off periods like that yesterday that are going to cut it.
When we have you on next week, whether it's Monday or Tuesday, there are 3 outcomes.
Okay.
Oilers have 1 and 6. The season's over, or we're getting ready for a game 7. And all 3 of them are incredibly spicy. Gaz, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah.
Luke Gazdic from Sportsnet. Mitsoff podcast as well. Give that a listen. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.